Welcome to the deep dive. You always hear that AI moves fast, right? But this last week, it wasn't just fast, it felt foundational.
Yeah, I agree. Foundational is a good word. We arguably just lived through the most intense week in AI history. So much happened.
Absolutely. Everything from, these huge hardware battles, new models focusing on efficiency, all the way to some pretty serious ethical and security stuff popping up.
That really covers it. And look, our sources for this deep dive are, well, they're stacked. There's a lot to unpack.
So what's the plan? How do we make sense of it all?
Okay, our mission is simple. Cut through the noise. We want to give you the actual knowledge, the nuggets you can use. We're going to track this AI arms race across, let's say, three main areas. The industry and investment side, how developer tools are getting crazy efficient, and then these critical safety and security updates.
Got it. To help you understand where things are really heading, the applications and the risks.
Precisely. Where the real-world impact is landing.
Okay, let's dive in. Section 1, the infrastructure. Because all this AI power has to start somewhere, right? And the competition around hardware, it's not just competition anymore. It feels like a global land grab.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly high stakes. The investment numbers we saw just this week were, well, staggering.
Like the Anthropic deal.
Exactly. Anthropic inked this massive deal, potentially using up to 1 million Google TPUs.
Wow.
1 million.
Wow.
That kind of commitment, it's not just buying chips. It tells you the sheer, almost mind-boggling scale needed for future foundation models.
So it's a signal about where the whole field is going. And Meta's doing something interesting too, right? Not just buying, but building infrastructure with software.
Yeah, they unveiled something called NCCLX. Think of it as a coordination system. It's designed specifically to get potentially hundreds of thousands of GPUs, they mentioned, 100,000 plus, all working together efficiently across a network.
They're building the highways for the AI traffic they expect.
That's a good way to put it. And meanwhile, NVIDIA's dominance is definitely being challenged. Well, Qualcomm just introduced its AI 200 chip, and they're not shy about it. They're positioning it directly as an alternative, trying to grab some of that market share.
Okay, so more competition there. What about AMD?
AMD's seeing serious growth, too. A lot of that seems fueled by strategic partnerships and notably a growing connection with OpenAI. So the landscape is definitely shifting, becoming more diverse.
And you can't talk investment scale without mentioning SoftBank. What's the story there?
Right. So SoftBank is reportedly set to invest potentially up to $30 billion in OpenAI. $30 billion.
That's a lot.
It is. But it seems contingent on OpenAI doing some corporate restructuring, potentially paving the way for an IPO down the road.
So it confirms this isn't just about tech anymore. It's about massive coordinated capital moving into the space.
The scale is just undeniable.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From the big hardware buys to the developers actually using this stuff.
Right, the people building the systems.
Because the other huge trend this week was how much faster things are getting for them. Like, developers are getting these massive speed boosts almost overnight.
Yeah, this is where it's really interesting for practical application, I think. Like vLLM, their latest release sounds pretty wild.
It is. They delivered something like 3 to 4 times faster inference speed. Inference is, when you actually run the model to get an answer.
So that means lower costs, less waiting time in production. How are they doing that?
They're using some clever techniques, things like semantic routing and parallel LoRa.
Okay, hold on. LoRa, we should probably explain that quickly.
Good point. LoRa stands for low-rank adaptation. Basically, it's a super efficient way to fine-tune a huge AI model. You only need to adjust a tiny fraction of its parameters.
Which means smaller teams or companies can actually afford to customize these massive models, right?
Exactly. It makes LLMs much more accessible. So tools like this are really democratizing the speed and customization.
And it's not just running the models, training them is getting easier too. I saw something about PyTorch Monarch.
PyTorch Monarch, its whole goal is simplification. Usually, training a model across, hundreds of computers distributed training is a total nightmare technically.
Yeah, synchronizing everything sounds complex.
Monarch basically hides all that complexity. It makes it feel like you're just writing standard Python code on your own machine. That's a huge leap in efficiency for developers.
The plumbing is catching up then.
It really is. And speaking of plumbing, Hugging Face shipped Hub version 1.0. Modern backend, sure, but the key thing, high-throughput dataset streaming.
Meaning
you can stream massive training datasets directly to the GPUs without hitting storage bottlenecks. Faster training starts.
Gotcha. And we also saw some new tools for AI memory and pulling out data.
Yeah, 2 interesting ones. Mem0, which is aimed at giving AI agents simple long-term memory so they can actually learn across conversations. And then Guido van Rossum,
The guy who created Python.
the very same. He released a package for structured RAG.
Okay, RAG is retrieval augmented generation. We talk about that a lot. It connects the AI to external data. What's structured RAG?
So structured RAG is specifically designed to pull information out of documents or data sources and put it into a reliable, predictable format. Think like filling out a form or extracting key figures for a report. Super useful for business applications.
Right, accuracy and consistency there are key. Okay, this focus on efficiency, better tools, it leads us nicely into section 2. The models themselves. What's happening with the actual AI?
Well, if the hardware is getting cheaper per unit of compute and the tools are faster, it means the models running on them are evolving too. And the big trend, efficiency, not just making them bigger and bigger.
More bang for your buck, essentially.
Exactly. And the poster child for this, arguably this week, was Minimax M2. It's a model out of China.
What's special about it?
It did well on some benchmarks, like an intelligence index, and its SVG image generation was noted. But the real headline, the thing people are talking about, is the efficiency claim.
Okay, what do they claim?
They claim it uses only about 10 billion active parameters when it's running during inference.
10 billion active, compared to models with trillions total.
Right. Many huge models have trillions of parameters, but they don't use all of them for every single query. Minimax seems optimized to only activate what's needed.
And what does that mean in terms of performance and cost?
Here are the eye-popping claims. Roughly 2 times faster and costing only about 8% of what a leading competitor costs.
8%, that's disruptive, if true.
It's hugely disruptive.
But hang on, if it's genuinely that much cheaper and faster, why isn't everyone just switching immediately? There must be a trade-off, right? What are we missing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And you're right to be skeptical.
Yeah.
The trade-off often comes down to performance on very specific, complex, or niche tasks, or maybe consistency across a wide range of trumps.
So maybe it's great for 80% of tasks, but struggles with the really hard 20%.
That's often the pattern with these smaller, highly optimized models. Think of NVIDIA's Nimatron Nano 9D V2, which together AI just added to their offerings. Great for certain things, but maybe not a universal replacement for the biggest models just yet.
And we actually saw research backing this up, didn't we, about limitations in reasoning.
We did. A new study called Our Horizon. It basically showed that even models that handle long contexts well can still suffer sharp drops in accuracy when you give them really long math problems, complex coding tasks, or multi-step agent instructions.
So just making the context window bigger doesn't magically fix underlying reasoning weaknesses.
Exactly. It's a good reminder. Optimizing for speed or cost doesn't automatically mean perfect intelligence across the board.
Still, the pace is relentless. You mentioned DeepSeek models catching up fast, too.
Yeah, DeepSeek's rise has been incredibly rapid. They're closing the gap with established frontier models quickly. It just shows how fast performance is improving and, frankly, being commoditized.
Okay, so let's take all this power, this efficiency, these new models, and pivot to Section 3. Where does it actually show up in the real world? This is probably the most important part for, you listening. How is this changing things?
And the impact in healthcare this week was really striking.
What stood out?
For me, it was a trial funded by Johns Hopkins and the NIH. They looked at AI-powered apps for diabetes prevention.
Yeah.
They found the AI apps were just as effective as programs led by humans. Similar health outcomes? But here's the kicker. User engagement was actually higher with the AI.
That's really significant. So it's not just about potentially saving costs. It might actually improve adherence because it's more accessible or engaging.
Precisely. It suggests AI can help scale personalized care in ways that are limited by the number of human coaches available. Huge accessibility win.
And Google's clearly onto this trend. They launched an AI health coach, too.
Yeah, built with their Gemini model, integrated into Fitbit Premium. It offers personalized wellness advice, tracks progress, all through a conversational AI.
Makes sense. And staying with health, but moving towards safety, Yale researchers built something interesting.
They did. An AI system designed to double-check pathology reports against patient records. The goal is to automatically flag potential errors before they can affect patient care.
Wow, that's a high-stakes validation tool. Could genuinely save lives, reduce medical errors?
Definitely high impact. Now, moving into, say, the office environment, enterprise productivity, The story there is all about speed and automation.
Like generating presentations instantly.
Exactly. Gemini AI rolled out a new Canvas feature. You give it a prompt, maybe upload some documents, and boom, it generates a complete customizable slide presentation instantly.
That takes what used to be hours organizing, designing, writing, and makes it zero latency, automating the grunt work.
Totally. And we saw similar acceleration in finance. The Claude model got some major upgrades for that sector.
What kind of upgrades?
Real-time data connections, which is crucial for finance. An Excel add-in, which is where so much financial work happens. And pre-built skills, specifically for things like cash flow modeling.
So it's automating complex analysis that used to need specialized human analysts.
That's the idea, making it faster and more accessible. And it's not just external tools. Big players are using it internally, too. JP Morgan, for instance.
What are they doing?
They're using AI to help with employee performance reviews. Apparently, it cut the writing time by 40%.
40%. But are they just letting the AI write the reviews?
No, and that's the key detail. They emphasize that humans are still firmly in charge, providing oversight. The AI generates the first draft, handles the time-consuming part, but a manager reviews and edits.
Okay, that makes more sense. Human in the loop.
Right. And finally, even the creative world is seeing major shifts. OpenAI is working on a generative music tool.
AI composing music from text prompts.
Pretty much. They're even collaborating with students at Juilliard, the famous music school, and looking into licensing deals. So they see it as a real product.
Meanwhile, Alibaba upgraded their chatbot, Quinn. What can it do now?
Get this. It can instantly create research reports, design and publish live web pages, and even generate entire podcasts, start to finish.
Whoa, okay, podcasts too. That's getting meta. We're moving way beyond just text answers now.
Absolutely. It's full package content creation on demand. The utility is just exploding.
With all this incredible speed and capability, there has to be a flip side, which I guess brings us to Section 4, the challenges. Security, ethics, trust.
Exactly. Because alongside these amazing deployments, we're seeing some pretty critical failures and risks emerge. It's the inescapable counter-narrative.
And the scale of the misinformation problem seems genuinely alarming. I saw some studies this week.
Yeah, pretty shocking numbers. One study suggested nearly half of the responses from major chatbots, including ChatGPT and Gemini, contain factual inaccuracies.
Half. That's wow.
And maybe even more disturbing, another finding was that these chatbots, when tested on ethical dilemmas, often endorsed unethical actions.
Yikes. And it gets worse with things like video generation, right?
Unfortunately, yes. A different study looked at major AI video generators. It found they produced anti-Semitic or other hateful content in something like 40% of the test cases.
40%? That's unacceptable. It screams for better moderation faster.
It really does. It shows a clear gap between the policies these companies state and what the tools are actually capable of generating right now. Urgent work needed there.
And the tools designed to help us aren't immune either. I heard about a vulnerability in OpenAI's new browser.
Yeah, the Atlas AI browser. It's meant to be an AI assistant while you browse, but researchers found it was highly susceptible to prompt injection attacks.
Prompt injection. That's basically tricking the AI, right?
Essentially, yes. You hide malicious instructions inside what looks like normal data. In this case, someone could craft a special web link, a URL, that tricks the Atlas browser into performing harmful actions on the user's behalf.
Oof. That's a major security concern, especially if businesses start relying on these AI assistants.
Huge concern. And financial fraud is another area seeing a massive spike, driven by AI.
How so?
Think about fake receipts. AI can now generate incredibly realistic-looking fake receipts, invoices, you name it. It makes spotting fraud much, much harder for businesses globally. Human verification is becoming less reliable.
So the tools are being used to create the problems they might later be asked to solve.
It's an arms race, even within the tech itself. Look at Cisco. They just released an open source tool, the MCP Scanner.
What does that do?
It's designed specifically to find security flaws in something called Model Context Protocol servers. It just shows that even at the fundamental protocol level, we're having to build defenses against potential AI-related exploits.
And the legal battles aren't slowing down either, particularly around copyright.
Nope. Still a massive gray area. OpenAI is facing more lawsuits, including over its video model, Sora. The claim is that it generates outputs that look way too much like copyrighted characters. SpongeBob and Pokemon were mentioned.
So that core question is training on copyrighted data fair use. Still completely unresolved.
Far from it. And this links to another tricky area. The AI's actual personality or ethics.
What do you mean?
Well, research came out showing that top models, even from the same company like OpenAI or Google, can display really different, sometimes conflicting ethical stances or personalities when faced with tricky, real-world dilemmas.
So one version might prioritize safety above all else. Another might prioritize helpfulness, even if it bends a rule.
Something like that. It highlights this urgent need for clearer, more consistent guidelines on how these AI should behave. We don't want unpredictable AI therapists or advisors.
Definitely not. And speaking of ethics and behavior, the big debate this week was OpenAI changing its policy on certain types of chat.
Ah, yes. CEO Sam Altman lifted the ban on generating erotic content within ChatGPT, but specifically for users who are verified as adults.
Okay, so there are safeguards, age verification.
Yes, they say strict policies are in place.
Yeah.
But the move instantly kicked off a global discussion about, the effectiveness of age verification online, the potential risks, and, frankly, the commercial pressures that might be influencing content policies in really sensitive areas.
A complex issue with no easy answers.
Absolutely none. So, okay, let's try and wrap our heads around the whole week. It was just extreme tension, wasn't it?
Yeah, that feels right. On one hand, you have this incredible speed and efficiency gain. Minimax potentially offering 8x the value, developers getting huge speed boosts, real breakthroughs in healthcare.
Right. Unprecedented utility and access emerging.
Right.
But at the same time, these huge systemic risks are becoming clearer than ever. Massive potential for misinformation, critical security holes being found, deep ethical questions, copyright chaos.
So the takeaway for you, the listener, is probably that the true state of AI right now is this mix, this duality.
Exactly. It's incredibly powerful, increasingly useful, but also inherently volatile and carries real risks. Understanding both sides of that coin is crucial as you navigate how, or even if, you want to use these tools.
Especially as they start showing up more and more in professional settings in your toolkit.
Couldn't agree more. And just when you feel like you're getting a handle on today's AI, the text, the images, the code, the goalposts move again.
So, what's the final thought for us?
Well, our sources revealed something interesting about Sam Altman's investments beyond OpenAI. He's backing a startup called Merge Labs.
Merge Labs, what do they do?
They're working on non-invasive thought decoding using focused ultrasound technology. The explicit aim is apparently to move faster than competitors like Neuralink who use implants.
Non-invasive thought decoding using ultrasound.
That's the report.
Uh-huh.
So the provocative thought is this. We just spent this whole deep dive talking about AI interacting through keyboards, text prompts, images. What happens in the very near future when that interface bypasses text altogether?
And moves towards directly interpreting human thought non-invasively.
Exactly. The AI arms race suddenly goes internal, directly into the human mind. What does that future look like?
Wow. Okay, that is definitely something to chew on. A whole different level of integration.
Indeed. We'll be keeping a very close eye on that development, you can be sure.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll catch you next time for the next deep dive.